right.
We'll get there.
So, moving on. What do we got, Joel?
Okay, so exciting question here for you. Did Jesus break the Sabbath?
No. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Because Jesus didn't sin.
Well, I think when someone says something like that to me, I think to myself, what's the issue here? God can do whatever he wants. God's above everything. Of course, God does not sin. You're right. So that must be true. Interesting. So how do you make that fit all together? There's definitely some accusations being brought to Jesus several times.
Oh yeah.
I think it's something like seven distinct times, basically, about him doing something on the Sabbath that he should not have been doing. Apparently,
Well, allegedly should not have been doing.
Allegedly, yeah.
Some of those, I think he should have been doing.
Well, we're gonna hop through,
and apparently Jesus agrees with me. So
we're gonna walk through it so that we can help everyone to learn.
Okay.
Through each of these events. They're kind of fun too.
Did Jesus break the Sabbath?
Yes. Yeah. We're going to look at each of the Sabbath breaking events. Yes, we are going to look at it. Okay. I say, no, he did not break the Sabbath.
That's what I said.
But we're going to go through it carefully and make sure we do a good job with the text here. So, okay. Well, first off, it is a big issue because God's plan was for Jesus to be born under the law. So you have like Galatians 4, 4, and 5. Okay, so that's just a quick snippet. It says, but when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his son, born of woman, born under the law, to redeem those who are under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. So it's actually super important that he is submissive and in obedience to the law. Yeah, because otherwise he would not actually be fit to redeem us.
Now, he knew what the law said, though, because he wrote it, so that helps.
Intimately involved. Yes.
So
so we have to figure out, okay, so this is a little piece of the puzzle, right?
So he has following the law correctly.
Yeah, so he need to be sinless. John 1:29, John the Baptist says, behold, the Lamb of God takes away the sin of the world, right? And so they all knew that he was this final sacrifice. He needed to be the proper sacrifice.
And the sacrifice had to be spotless.
Yes, you don't want to just dismiss the question like, it doesn't really matter. It's like, well, we fundamentally believe that he couldn't have sinned and things, but let's analyze the text and see what it says for itself, and what's being taught here. So there's a few texts to analyze. So I'll give you a little extra than what we're actually going to go through in this episode. So you can look up some stuff yourself. The one that's, the big work one is plucking grain on the Sabbath, And so we're going to go through Matthew 12, 1 through 8. That'll be the first one we go through, Matthew 12, 1 through 8. But then
they probably walked too long that day, too.
They probably did a lot of walking. That's all they did. And so it's like...
didn't they have, how many steps you could walk on a Sabbath? Figured out,
there's the Sabbath day's journey.
If you walked too many... If you took too many steps on the Sabbath, that was work.
It was supposed to be, however many... the distance it needed to be for the person farthest away from the Ark of the Covenant when, Israel's wandering... be able to get to the Ark and back, however long that is, that became a Sabbath day's journey. So it's not like the full journey you could do in a day. It was, you guess you have to go that far to be able to worship and go back home.
Yeah.
And so then that must be an okay distance. That was the thinking.
Yeah.
So
which makes sense. I mean, how they came up with it.
Makes sense. Yes. Not exactly scriptural command there, but that's what happened. So... But those,
this is the thing. A lot of the traditions they came up with, they had practical application reasons why they came up with a lot.
There's always a reason, whether it's a good one or not. There's always a reason.
There was okay, if we're not supposed to, work on the Sabbath, what's work? Well, you do too much exercise, that's work. So how many steps can you walk and it not be work? Well, we're commanded to go worship, so we got to be able to go at least that far. It makes sense.
Yeah, we got to figure out what work is. We, I might remember to deal with that later.
Okay.
I think I have a note. I'm not sure to deal with that, but I remind me of it
Sabbath.
if I don't.
Did Jesus break the Sabbath?
Okay, so the parallel passage, the plucking grain on the Sabbath, Matthew 12, 1 through 8, we're going to go through the parallel.
Okay.
Mark 2, 23 through 28, and then Luke 6, 1 through 5. But we're just going to go through Matthew 12.
Okay.
Then the other ones after that, we're going to go through most of these, but it's all about healing on the Sabbath then after that. And so the man with the withered hand, and then the bent over woman, she was not straight, she was crooked, bent over. Man with dropsy, and I'll explain what dropsy is. You might know a little bit more about it by a different name. The paralytic or invalid or whatever other word, at Bethesda. And then the man born blind. Now, the man born blind, it's a whole John chapter 9. So we're going to skip going through all that. And maybe I'll just give a couple highlights from it.
Okay.
But, and then there's another one that I didn't have on this list here that I almost forgot about, which would have been so disappointing. One of my favorites. It's in John 7. But we're going to get to that toward the end. I'm going to save the best for last.
All right.
My opinion. Okay. So Matthew 12, here we are. Start right in verse 1. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry, and they began to pluck heads of grain and to eat.
Scandal!
Yes. Video evidence. Here it is. Posting on all sorts of social media, the Pharisees. Verse 2, but when the Pharisees saw it, that means they were watching. They were waiting. They look hungry, but they're going to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath. So the big deal there is that Jesus, being a good rabbi, should discipline his disciples for disobeying. And this would be a public thing. So now like his honor's on the line and stuff. And it's a big deal. And, so is it sin? Is it not? If you're saying it's okay, then according to them, then you have broken the law. And then if you say it's not okay, then you also are a bad rabbi for your disciples all doing this so blatantly.
Breaking the law.
So either way, like, you're just bad. That was in their minds. They set him up.
Yeah. That's back to the whole, like, tearing him down, his honor down.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to accomplish here.
So there's, so I guess first off, we should go to the actual law. So there's one about vineyards as well, but that's in Exodus 12:16. But the one that we would look at is Deuteronomy 23:24 and 25. It says, if you go into your neighbor's vineyard, maybe that's the vineyard one. No, yeah, that one's both. Never mind. If you go into your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat your fill of grapes, as many as you wish, but you shall not put any in your bag. If you go into your neighbor's standing grain, you may pluck the ears with your hand, but you shall not put a sickle to your neighbor's standing grain.
Sure. If you're just walking down the road and you got the munchies, you grab a little bit. Sure.
So you just don't. Basically, the idea is you don't keep for later.
You're not going there to harvest his field.
Right.
You're getting a snack.
Just getting your food in your belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you're doing. So then we have verse 3 here of Matthew 12. He said to them, so Jesus says to these Pharisees, have you not read? That's a big slap in the face, just saying that. Because these guys have all like memorized at least the Torah, but most of the Old Testament, if not all of it. And so have you not read what David did when he was hungry and those who were with him? How he entered the house of God and ate the bread of the presence, which it was not lawful. They were like, for real though, which was not lawful for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the priests. So that's one of their big heroes, King David. So the idea is that if they were to condemn Jesus' disciples, they'd first have to condemn David for this, because David did something worse. He actually went against Scripture.
Or the priest did, whatever you want to say.
Well,
right?
He knew better too. They were all accomplices. They're all guilty.
But the fact is, you have the letter and the spirit, right? I have the law too.
Yeah.
Well, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, right?
But
eating lunch is not against the law. I mean, they weren't working. They were they're snacking as they're walking down the field. David showed up starving to death. What's right for the priest? That nope, I'm going to stick to the letter of law and let these men die, or am I going to help my fellow man?
Well, that might be a false dilemma. That might be not the only two options. But could Jesus have broken the letter of the law for the sake of the spirit of the law? What would you say to that?
I'd say Jesus do whatever he wanted. He wrote the law.
Well, he can't break it.
He didn't break it.
But I'm asking the question: do you think that he could have broken the letter of the law and still kept the spirit of the law?
I think the letter law actually reflects the spirit of the law, but they were misinterpreting it.
Right. So, like, if it is the law, then it can't be broken no matter what.
Yeah. So clearly that wasn't the law.
So David's sinful. David's sinful, though. I'm calling him out. Jesus did.
I disagree.
Hey, Jesus said, let's see, he says in verse 3, have you not read what David did when he was hungry and those with him, how he entered, ate the bread of the presence, which it was not lawful for him to eat?
Yeah.
He said that. So it's true. So David and them those are sinners in that moment. Taking a hard stance here.
But but sanctity of life is more important than not eating bread. Sometimes there's priorities.
Obedience to God, if it is obedience to God, would be higher than my own comfort, my own life.
But the priest gave him the bread. David didn't take it. He asked for food.
He knew.
Yeah, he asked for food, and they gave him some.
By the way, for everyone that's interested, 1 Samuel 21 would be this narrative with David.
So you read a verse of the law about taking food out of someone's garden as you walk down the road.
Yeah.
But what does the laws on the Sabbath, how do those apply to this?
That is it. That's for the Sabbath.
That was describing the
Deuteronomy
Sabbath.
23, 24, and 25. That's for the
So
Sabbath
it literally
rules.
says you can eat as you're walking down someone's field.
Yes, exactly.
So why are they even saying anything at all?
Well, that's my point. Is he did not break the letter of the law. That was never the letter of the law.
So these guys are just making up a lie.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the idea.
That's fair.
So in other words, I just want to make sure we're of the same mind of breaking the law is sin, but the real law, God's law, So they made up their own, they added to it, and they made it equal to Scripture. And that's like the biggest no-no. That's a big problem. Like I can put rules in my own life to help me to honor God better, but
Sure.
I can't just then take those same rules and say, now all of you must obey this or you're sinners, And that's basically what was going on.
And we do that a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes, subconsciously, you just don't really think about it. It's always best, why do I do or don't do anything? It's got to be centered in Scripture.
You're not as good of a Christian as me because I've put myself under more self-imposed laws than you.
Right.
And then we judge each other about it.
All right. So then let's continue on with Matthew 12. So then we'll pick it back up here in verse 5. It says, or have you not read in the law? So once again, smack. How on the Sabbath, the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are guiltless. Okay, which is really interesting. So then what is he talking about? So you may remember Matthew's very Jewish centered.
Yes.
So he doesn't explain a lot of different things. His audience knows a lot of these things.
He wrote this to the Jews.
Yeah, and sometimes you we all assume things. We don't realize we're assuming all the time. So it's one of those deals here where you have to. That's why you study. It's always good because you might find some detail that's helpful somewhere. But the there was no chairs for the priests ever. They were always, that was their biggest work day, the Sabbath, because they're the ones having to run all the sacrifices and everything for everybody, doing all the cleaning up, setting up, tearing down. The entire day they were on their feet working like dogs, basically, these priests, that's the idea. Yet they're guiltless for it. And so then that makes them all of a sudden, it's like that hits them in their heads, real time. It's like all of a sudden they realize, oh, like we forgot about the priests. Like there's, how does this all fit together now? I don't understand. See, God's law is actually very, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? There's no contradictions or anything. It's very fluid. It all works together.
Okay.
Whereas, throw man's law in there and things get a bit more fuzzy, So his it actually does make sense that the priest can do this. And it does make sense for other things too. We're going to cover here as we go through more Sabbath blunders.
Okay.
But maybe that should be the title, Blunders of the Sabbath. I don't know. But speaking of the Pharisees anyways. So yeah, it's kind of interesting because now they condemn all the priests too because they're working, they're working on the Sabbath. So you're worried about them just filling their bellies. What about this whole team of priests not just working, but working harder than any other day on the Sabbath? And yet they're okay. You got to figure that one out, That was really cool. So then in verse 6, he says, I tell you something greater than the temple is here. Of course, he's referring to himself.
Yeah.
Right? And he says, and if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice. He's quoting Hosea 6:6. And so that's basically the gist. If you go to the context, I think you'll appreciate the words a bit more. But that's the big point that he communicated there. He quotes that verse. I think it's either 2 or 3 times. It might be 3 times. That's recorded in Scripture. Okay. He quotes that verse to the Pharisees. He's like, "Figure it out, guys. Figure it out, guys." He's trying to get them to figure it out. Read Hosea. Like, that's where it's from. You think about the picture there of Israel being, the lady of the night.
Yeah.
And then going back to the market, and then Hosea even buying her back still at the clearance price, because this is just coded language here, keeping it pretty general, but yeah, and so it's showing you kind of this really sad situation there, and it's like, yeah, God still takes you back, and this is what you're doing, and so he's trying to remind them that, hey, God desires mercy, and we've mentioned this before too. That's his big thing. Loves giving mercy. He's not sacrifice. The sacrifice is good when you have the right faith, the right hearts, all that sort of thing. But that's why he says, above all, mercy. I like that. So he says, and you would not have condemned the guiltless, his disciples. For the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Now, it's interesting there is he's also quoting Scripture. That's what's quoted in Hosea 2. I think it's Psalm 108 or Psalm 8. Maybe it's just Psalm 8. I think it's Psalm 8. And so I do believe the original context there is Son of Man being us, like God's given us dominion over the earth, over the Sabbath, over all those sort of things. But then Jesus is like the ultimate Son of Man, who is the ultimate fulfillment of all those things.
Okay.
So just to throw that out there. And that's Psalm 8. Yeah, quoted in Hebrews 2. So it's applied to Jesus there as well. But okay, anyways. Off on so many rabbit trails here, but that's Matthew 12. Okay, so the law being investigated is found in Deuteronomy 23, 24, and 25. So we see it's actually okay. They're allowed to pick and eat, but just no storage. The Sabbath was designed for us to rest, or you could say trust, in God as a refreshing, enjoyable time. So of course the Pharisees couldn't condemn the disciples without first condemning King David and all the priests.
Or was their sin not washing their hands when they ate?
Oh, that's another one, but that's not a Sabbath day thing.
That was just in general.
And so okay. I almost threw that in here, but I was like, well, let's stick to the topic. But I was actually looking at that one already too.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so we'll have to. That'll be another thing. More, Pharisaical fallacies. Well, yeah, let's patent that right now. Okay, so then Matthew 12, continuing 9 through 14 is the second one. This is the withered hand man.
Oh man, he healed on the Sabbath.
Yep. Well,
what a scoundrel.
Now it's all the healing offenses.
Because that's work, right? Because healing was work.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to say. That's what they're trying to say anyways. But let's see if it's actually okay even as work. Okay, so Matthew 12:9. That was a good cliffhanger, how was it? Okay. He went on from there and entered their synagogue. So he's just like same day, same, he's still on the...
They were on the way to the synagogue.
Yep.
On the Sabbath.
They're just...
The guys are... This is like the police pulling you over on your way to church.
Have you ever had to like go to the gas station and get some food?
For going the speed limit.
Yeah. Okay. So it says in verse 10, and a man was there with a withered hand. And they asked him, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? So they might accuse him. So they do this over and over again, you'll notice, where they kind of plant...
So they suppose these guys just went with them on the way to the synagogue, and they get there and like, oh, hey, there's a guy with a withered hand. Is it okay to heal him?
Yeah, they're like right in front of them. Wait till you get there. Okay, and now ask the question. Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? And yeah, so it's like, obviously, this is a trap. Like they are in their minds.
That's their intent, yeah.
In their minds are setting up a trap. But it will spring on them. So they might accuse him. So verse 11, he said to them, which one of you who has a sheep, if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will not take hold of it and lift it out? Of how much more value is a man than a sheep, so it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. That's a really interesting idea there. And so, I'll finish the passage, and then I'll come back to that sort of thing. It says, then he said to the man, stretch out your hand. And the man stretched it out, and it was restored, healthy like the other. But the Pharisees went out and conspired against him how to destroy him. So, they're like,
these guys are just missing the point, right? Like,
again.
They're just missing the point.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've said this before, but the word hypocrite The idea of it, went below the radar. It's under your judgment. The two words under and judgment put together. And so it's like, you missed the point. That was the whole idea. So that's when he's yelling at them as hypocrites. Like, you've read all the Bible, basically. You've devoted your life to religious things with the one true God, but you missed the whole point of everything.
So this is back to the from our Bible study series, the practical theology.
Yeah.
They got the knowledge, but they don't know how to apply it to their lives.
Right.
So sad. I know about God, kind of, but I've missed the point.
Yeah, that happens all the time. All the time.
And these guys, they missed it. They get so caught up on all these do's and all these don'ts, and you forget to be good to people.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the biggest points with this I wanted to bring out. First off, there is allowance in the law to help animals in distress.
Mm-hmm.
So distress means they need to eat or drink. Okay,
yeah, you're still supposed to feed your livestock,
or they're in the ditch.
In fact, kind of thing. Wasn't it's a sin not to take care of your animals.
Right. Yeah. Right? You're supposed to. Yeah. Yep. So you're supposed to take care of them, and so it was natural. You're supposed to do it even on the Sabbath. Because the whole point is you promote life.
Mm-hmm.
You promote life. That's the idea. And so here,
and he just asked a simple question: aren't people more important than animals?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, you would save a sheep.
Yeah.
So the idea is like, well, then obviously save a person. That's like, right. Come on. And so, this sheep that falls into a pit. The difference is why did they save the sheep? Because the sheep for them was money. That's currency back in those days.
Sure.
And so when they looked at that guy with the withered hand, for example, they saw no value.
He was a drain on society.
They saw more value in that one sheep than they do in this human being. And so that's where, it's like we are to value life. We are to treasure it and take care of it, be responsible, things like that, help promote it, make it more, productive or whatever. But then always human life would be more. Whatever it is, human life is more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. But so they missed the whole point of the value of life.
Yeah.
Completely.
So where do they find in the law they're not supposed to heal anyone? Does it actually say in the law don't heal on the Sabbath?
No, not at all.
Or is it back to like don't do any work and seeing a doctor's work?
Let's see. I got two passages here. Let me. I'll pop them up. I didn't have these guys out ahead of time. Exodus 23, 4 and 5. That's the first thing. Then I got one in Deuteronomy. It says, if you meet your enemy's ox, even your enemy, if you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall bring it back to him. If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying down under its burden, like distress, or whatever, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall rescue it with him. That's your enemy, your enemy's ox or sheep, and even. And then Deuteronomy 22 is the other part. And so that's on the Sabbath. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep. This is Deuteronomy 22. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep going astray and ignore them. You shall take them back to your brother. If he does not live near you and you do not know who he is, you shall bring it home to your house, and it shall stay with you until your brother seeks it. Then you shall restore it to him. And you shall do the same with his donkey or with his garment or with any lost thing of your brother's, which this goes on. And so the idea is you help them, you lift them up, whatever it is.
And so is it just one of those things that I assume that if the law says you can help your animals if they're in distress on the Sabbath, then obviously you can help people.
Yes, and that's the application that Jesus brings.
Yeah.
So we actually see him doing good Bible study where he brings out the proper application because he had the right interpretation. So he was exposed to the Word of God, understood it, lived it out, applied it, shared it, the whole deal. So, anyways, so that's the big one. So that it does allow for that, and so you notice he says, let's see, is this one? Maybe I'm getting. I looked at so many of these. I think I'm going to get a little bit confused. No. Verse 12. So it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. A reminder that love, grace, mercy, goodness, those don't take a day off.
Those are good.
Love God and love your neighbor. Like that doesn't have a day off.
No, it's a Sabbath. I'm taking the day off.
It's kind of interesting how it works, They kind of just apply what they want and do a little
it's back to just missing the point. Like they completely missed the point. Like literally completely.
I think
they did this whiffed.
They focus so much on what you can't do, even to the point of adding things, that they totally didn't even think about what you can do and what you should do. And that's a whole other thing about what you do on a Sabbath, which is actually a pretty enjoyable deal.
Which is apparently do good things.
Yeah, good. We know that's on the list. Do good things.
And eat.
Man, you know, it's amazing. The Pharisees were so twisted here that they tried to get Jesus to sin.
They thought this was a gotcha question. And he's just like,
but like, you know,
what are you guys talking about, man?
If you're in some kind of religious ministry type leadership and you get to a point where you're trying to set someone up to sin publicly, you probably missed something.
You're missing.
Take a couple steps back.
Yeah, you're yeah. Well, they're clearly missing things. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. What's the next one?
Is it lawful? Okay. So then the next one's in Luke 13.
Why? Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
What did you want to say?
No. I'm sure I'll have more opportunities.
Okay. So Luke 13, the whole thing's 10 through 17. Now that we've kind of set the foundation, this can go a little faster. So now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. That's Luke 13:10. And behold, there was a woman who had a disabling spirit for 18 years. She was bent over and could not fully straighten herself. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said to her, "Woman, you are freed from your disability." And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and she glorified God. But the ruler of the synagogue, indignant, angry, right? Indignant because
answered with
Jesus
indignation.
had healed on the Sabbath, said to the people, just
Scandal.
like announces, yells out to the crowd, "There are 6 days in which work ought to be done. Come on those days and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day." Oh my goodness. So verse 15. Then the Lord answered him, "You hypocrites." We talked about that. Missed the point. "Does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from the manger and lead it away to water it? And not this woman, a daughter of Abraham," you know, one of the Jews,
yeah,
"whom Satan bound for 18 years. So apparently there was a demonic oppression there. Be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath."
She had a crippling spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like, you know, the Sabbath is for rest. Why can't she rest? Why is that not important?
She has literally a crippling spirit.
It's like everyone just stand back and let me have my rest day. You know,
she ain't had much rest.
Yeah, not good
For 18 years. She ain't had any rest.
You'll untie that big dumb ox to get a little water, but you're not willing to untie her from this spiritual bond of oppression to have rest.
I love how he just like states the obvious.
Yes, just that's all he's doing. You're right.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, you guys missed it again. You know, you untie your ox, I'm untying a person. What has more value before God?
Right.
I love how you relate to him. The daughter of Abraham. Yeah, right.
That's pretty blunt.
It's not even like it's a Pharisee guy. I mean, not a Pharisee, but one of those scoundrel Romans or something.
The dogs, Gentile dogs.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of you guys.
Then verse 17 wraps up like this way, and he said these things. As he said these things, all his adversaries were put to shame, and all the people rejoiced at all the glorious things that were done by him. They just all had to shut up and either leave or just stand there, you know, with a mean face.
So they tried to put him to shame, but instead they were put to shame.
So it's a pretty straightforward teaching, the one with the crooked back. Okay. If you are willing to help an animal, why not a person, right? Above all, a Jew even. You know, that's very much in their context there. They did not consider the necessity for this lady to rest on the Sabbath. So we learn different things about the Sabbath actually as you go through this, and it's a lot of correcting teaching. And so we see the value of human life and stuff, and how it's meant to be a blessing to people, and relationships are important, people are important, and it's not just focused on my personal rest and enjoyment, but you're concerned about other people. You know, are they resting? Are they enjoying life? You know, is life good, kind of a thing. So we really missed the point. We got to come back to that sort of idea of valuing people, and it's not about what can you do for me. Then Luke 14 is another one, and this is the man with dropsy. So that's that. I'm afraid I'm mispronouncing this, but the edema, edema. It's that thing I've known about it before, where there's something basically in your body. It's a swelling, and so there's like water just kind of sitting there. So the Greek word's kind of interesting, but it just basically means like water showed up and stayed. Basically, that's my dumb version of it. So there's some kind of like water is sitting there. It could be anywhere in the body. So who knows?
This like, got a swelling problem.
So yeah, some kind of it seems to be a big deal, whatever it is. I mean, even could be on the brain. Who knows? Water in the brain. And that's a whole other level of importance. So Luke 14 says, one Sabbath when he went to dine at the house of a ruler of the Pharisees.
What verse is this?
Sorry, Luke 14 verse 1. That's where I'm starting at. Luke 14.
Yeah.
One Sabbath when he went to dine at the house of a ruler of the Pharisees, they were watching him carefully. Normal. And behold, there was a man before him who had dropsy. And Jesus responded to the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not? So it's so funny how Jesus cut him to the chase this time. And he's going to ask the question. He didn't wait. Hey, is it lawful to heal or not? Because here's another setup. Behold, there was a man before him. With the banqueting, everyone had assigned seating.
Yeah.
This was so orchestrated, it's crazy. You can't get around it, how they did this. And so Jesus just goes, is it lawful to heal on Sabbath or not? Like, figure it out, guys. But they remained silent. Verse 4. Then he took him and healed him and sent him away. And he said to them, which of you, having a son or an ox that has fallen to a well on a Sabbath day, will not immediately pull him out? And they could not reply to these things.
His answer every time is like, hey, you get sick of your ox, right? Like, every one of these cases.
Crazy. Simple.
This idea that they put people or animals above people, this happens today.
Oh, yeah. It definitely does.
Yeah. There are people that get way more uptight about killing a puppy than killing babies. It's true.
Yep.
You're a Pharisee if that's what you believe.
There's of course, more protective rights for certain animal offspring than our own.
Yeah.
So,
and dropsy is a swelling of a body cavity or extremity due to internal fluid buildup. That's exactly what you said. Dropsy or edema.
Edema.
Is probably the more common word. So yeah, whatever reason that causes it, it's just if your leg swells up, that's dropsy. That can be extremely painful. Yeah, I would have been in the hospital for a couple weeks with dropsy. I guess a couple years ago. That was rough.
Doesn't sound good.
I had some causes of the dropsy, but basically my leg was 3 times the size it should have been, and that hurt.
All right, I'll tell you what. For time's sake, I'm just gonna do one more. So,
okay.
So the one I'm gonna tell you what I'm skipping. John 5:2-18. That's the paralytic or invalid, whatever you want to say, the person with a disability. That's John 5:2-18. So he picks up his bed, rises and walks. Hey, what are you doing? So you can kind of talk about like what work is necessarily.
Because you're not supposed to carry a bed.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, so it's one of those things. Once again,
supposedly,
that's not,
right?
Yeah, it's not actually like really there. But the idea is God just healed him.
Yeah,
and he's and literally told him go do this thing. And so, yeah, that's an interesting one to walk through. Then there's all of John 9, which is the man that was blind from birth, the man born blind.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to even see like the progression of his belief, where he's a man, he's a prophet, he's counted as a disciple of his, and then he's the Son of Man and worshipped him, at the end. And so it's really neat how to just see Jesus like defend.
It's like
him from the bullies.
The longer he thinks about it, the more he's like.
When it was all the Pharisees questioning him and stuff, and he's like learning more and figuring it all out. Yeah. He's like, you guys want to be one of the disciples too, huh?
He starts putting it all together, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, I think I know who this guy is.
This actually makes sense. Okay, so we're gonna jump to John 7.
Okay,
and it's the one that you mentioned that I said like, oh yeah, I kind of had to throw it in. I almost missed that one. But yeah, so John 7, we'll just
nice to have some value.
You have lots of value to me. We'll start in John 7:19. I mean, you're in a big conversation, and so you got to cut off something somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just how it is. But John 7:19-24 is what I'm aiming for here. And it says, oh wait, what verse did I just say? I just said it.
You said 7:19.
19, okay. Has not Moses given you the law? Yet none of you keeps the law. Why do you seek to kill me? The crowd answered. Because it's like more and more crowd coming back and forth. And
you got a demon.
You have a demon. Who is seeking to kill you?
I love that. That's a response.
Just, why do you seek to kill me? You have a demon. I was like, okay, Barney, calm down. Okay, so Jesus answered them, I did one work, and you all marvel at it. So he's talking about healing on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Okay. I did one work, and you all marvel at it. Jaws hitting the floor. Moses gave you circumcision. And then a quick note here from our author. Not that it is from Moses, but from the fathers, because it really started with Abraham, but it was part of the law with Moses. That's the idea.
Yeah, he wrote it in the law.
So he goes, Moses gave you circumcision, and you circumcise a man on the Sabbath. Because what day does the baby boy have to be circumcised?
The eighth day.
Eighth day, right.
And so the eighth day falls on Sabbath. Which law do you follow?
Right. What do you do?
And that's some of the points that Jesus is bringing up. Some things are more important. And so there's
just no contradiction.
It's back to the letter versus the spirit. Sometimes you have to make judgment calls and err on the side of doing what's right.
Well, it never says don't circumcise on the Sabbath. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, it's just one of those things where...
But don't do any work and rest. Well,
yeah.
Okay, but here you go. You're breaking the Sabbath, guys.
But with work, that really is more like career. Like, I'm doing this to
Not for these guys. They thought eating and washing your hands and going for a walk and
that's another
healing
thing.
people are all work. Like, so he's just bringing out their hypocrisy and their double standard.
Yeah, it's...
he's just pointing it out.
So he's just... Yeah, he's this is something that's always been okay. It's never been wrong to do.
Mm-hmm.
But he's reminding them that they do it. Because here's the big part, though. This is the big part. Okay, the thing that's not said there. It says, if... verse 23, if on the Sabbath a man receives circumcision so that the law of Moses may not be broken, are you angry with me because on the Sabbath I made a man's whole body well? So the idea is that they had to practice first aid. They had to do some healing because of the circumcision.
Sure.
And so he goes, you actually say it's good and you're not breaking the law to heal a little part of a person. I just healed the entire body of a person. And you think that I committed the greater offense? Like, does it make sense?
Or you could just say, you did a medical procedure, so did I.
Being the great physician.
Yeah. And then, however you want to describe this, but yeah.
Yeah, so I love that one because it's so witty. It's so just... I love how he just turns like he uses the same exact topic and turns it on its head 100% of the time, every single time. Like, it doesn't matter what
right to the chase, and it just points out the double standard that they have.
Here's actually the obvious thing. And then, so I think like a lot of those challenges, Jesus entertained it because he was gaining followers through it. Because then it had everyone's attention and they're listening. They're like,
that makes sense.
Is like the word of God. That's right. That makes so much sense now.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So wonderful thing there.
Do not judge according to appearance, but judge with righteous judgment.
So verse 24 there. Yeah. So John 7, and which is really cool because it's like, hey, look, you have to judge with truth. Essentially, this is the only way a good judgment happens. Is that truth and morality, right? So in their purest forms, that would be the best judge. And so here they were judging by their own, situation they made up themselves. And so they're not looking at the heart of the issue, the importance of the issue, nothing. It's just the pure surface level. Here's our black and white thing we made up, and you broke it. No questions. You're just wrong. And it's like, come on, guys.
And just with one simple question, they're like, you got us again. I hate you.
Yeah. We're going to figure out how to kill you. Yeah. So many times they ran off to do that. That was like their next favorite hobby.
Yeah. No,
plotting his death.
They spend the rest of the time after he makes him look foolish trying to figure out how to kill him.
Crazy stuff.
All right. So wrapping up, just clear and obvious. Did Jesus
Right.
break the Sabbath?
I'd have to go with a no, hard pass on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, he did not. And
he didn't break the letter of the law even. Like,
correct.
Every one of their accusations, I don't think you can even find in the law. Yeah. Like, they were just making these laws up.
Yep. It's always important when someone says something, like when they're accusing God of something, whatever. I said, can you show me where that's at? And,
sure.
And at least half the time, that stops it right there. They can't. Or they show me something, so then we start to study that passage, to see what it is in its full context. And so that usually solves about anything there is. Right, those two things.
And then it is lawful to do good.
It actually is.
So, it is good to do good things.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say what you
people
can do.
have more value than animals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what were we going to say? One more thing?
So, yeah, that's right, because, no one ever talks about like what you can do on a Sabbath.
Good.
It's always about...
do good.
Right, that's one of the things. So here's a little list I have.
And you can eat grain as you walk down the road.
Yeah, just don't store for the... Yeah. Now, this is all under the Mosaic Covenant kind of Sabbath.
Sure.
Okay, so there's more to it than that, but you are to build and enjoy relationships with God and other people. So that means, with building a relationship with God and things, you're going to spend time in the Word, you're going to pray, you're going to do so as a family, perhaps even, just adoring Him. You can enjoy creation. Love people, very general reference, like do good and the relationship stuff. But just in general, just love people. Be merciful and gracious to life, just in general, life. Worship and glorify our Creator. It's like a lot of that's kind of repetitive, a lot of overlap, but just kind of gets a point across. Those are like, it's a great time where God says, you know what? You can just trust in me. Just don't try to provide for yourself for one day.
Yeah.
And you'll watch.
Have some rest.
Yeah.
Have some rest. Enjoy God. And you can do that on other days too. It's okay to enjoy God and have rest and be good.
Yeah.
Good to others. Have fellowship with others. You don't just have to do it on the Sabbath, which we don't even do like a Sabbath anymore. That's our Sunday now, right? Which that's a whole nother podcast.
I just try to take a day of rest a week. That's my goal. But
and that's good.
Yeah.
It's good to have some rest. So, all right. We are wrapping up. But Jesus did not break the Sabbath.
Fact.
That is a fact. And if you think so, you should go read some more. All right. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.